The following video looks at 10 grandparents you won't believe actually exist. None of these elderly people fit the mold of the tired, sleepy, and inactive elderly people that many of us think of when we picture grandparents. These grandparents definitely prove that age really is just a number. Grandparents you won't believe exist. Yasmina Rossi. When you think of a grandmother, you likely don't picture a fashion model. Yasmina Rossi is proof that being a grandmother doesn't mean looking the part. The 59-year-old Malibu resident is a fashion model who has worked for the likes of Mark & Spencer, Hermes, and Macy's. She continues to be featured in magazines to this day, and people always want to know how she does it. The grandmother of two says that exercise, a homemade body scrub, and a healthy diet, including organic meat and produce, has helped her to maintain the looks of someone much younger. Georgina Harwood. We don't generally associate our grandparents with extreme sports. The grandkids of Georgina Harwood have a different opinion on the matter. You see, this South African granny wasn't going to celebrate her 100th birthday just sitting around. Instead, she ditched the comfy clothing, put on a jumpsuit, and went skydiving. She actually performed her first jump when she was 92 and thought another was in order to celebrate hitting 100. What's next? Just 2 days after her jump, Georgina went shark diving off the South African coast. Dean Parker. Even if we just told you our next grandfather was a surf instructor, that'd be pretty cool. American Dean Parker was living a pretty active life for a granddad, and one a lot of us would love. Living in Costa Rica, Parker was passing the days as a surf instructor. Not content, this year he packed up and joined the Kurdish military forces fighting the terrorist group ISIS. This grandfather still has surfing in his blood, and he says he plans to take on the waves of the Black Sea once the fighting is done. Mimi Rosenthal. Getting a tattoo is something which is really trendy right now. Look around and it's hard not to see someone who's sporting some sort of ink. While it may appear to be something younger people are doing, 105-year-old Mimi Rosenthal shows that even the really elderly are getting in on the act. Rosenthal got her first tattoo when she was 99 years old. Like so many people, she got addicted to it and now has 3 tattoos. Interestingly, when she's not getting ink work done, Mimi loves catching up on the latest episode of The Walking Dead. Wang Xiaoya. We sometimes picture grandparents as being weak and frail. Chinese grandmother Wang Xiaoya proves that just because you're a grandparent doesn't mean you can't be super strong. The Jinan City resident demonstrated her strength when she pulled a 4-ton truck with her mouth. Still full of energy, she went a step further the following year by pulling 2 vehicles with a combined weight of 5 tons. In addition to being in overall great shape, we think Wang must also have a set of the strongest teeth in all of China. Aishat Maksudova. When we think of grandparents and the elderly, many people think of someone who is vulnerable and easy to take advantage of. Russian Aishat Maksudova is proof that age and looks mean nothing when it comes to ability. This Russian grandmother from the province of Dagestan had to teach a wolf that lesson one day. While outside of her sister's farm, a wolf attacked Aishat, biting her hands and arm. With no one around to help, she grabbed a nearby axe and rained blows down upon the animal's head. The wolf was killed, and Aishat became something of a local celebrity. Marshallsea. For many of us, we associate our grandparents with travel. That is, it always seemed like our grandparents were heading off to Florida, Hawaii, or some other warm and sunny destination where they could just relax. Marshallsea appears to fit that description. The grandfather from Wales went to sunny Australia to take in the warm weather and the beaches. While on the beach one day, Paul noticed a shark getting dangerously close to other swimmers, including children. Without a second thought, he went into the water and grabbed the 2-meter-long shark by the tail, pulling it back out of the deeper water while narrowly avoiding being bitten. George Frogley. Biking, climbing, and running are activities that are commonly undertaken by younger people. 80-year-old George Frogley shows that even latecomers can still compete. For his 80th birthday, Frogley ran a half marathon of 21 kilometers. For the grandfather of 4, this was only the first step in a string of challenges he had set for himself that year. He has climbed the O2 Arena in London, been skiing on advanced to intermediate runs, and plans to scale Scaleth Pike, the tallest mountain in England. Of course, there is also another half marathon planned for later this year. Mary Hvizda. Grandparents and music? There's a combination that would generally put us to sleep when we were younger. We often think of older people as having musical tastes that are more classical. Then there's Wisconsin's Mary Hvizda. The 63-year-old became an internet sensation when a video of her playing the drums at a local shop was posted on YouTube. Nicknamed the Grandma Drummer, viewers flocked in the millions to watch the clip of Hvizda playing Wipeout on the set. It turns out Mary had been in a number of bands throughout her life and came into the store every now and then to brush up on her skills. Morgan Shepherd. There's a popular stereotype that the elderly, including our grandparents, are terrible drivers. Okay, so they often drive cars that are too big and can drive too slow sometimes. sometimes, but Morgan Shepherd shows that not all grandparents are like this. Shepherd owns and races stock cars in NASCAR's Xfinity Series. He is the oldest person to start and lead a race. Sure, he hasn't raced much recently, and he hasn't finished high in the standings, but this 73-year-old can handle a powerful and fast car on a cramped track better than most grandparents can handle their own car in a Walmart parking lot. Well, that's that. We hope you enjoyed this list of rad grandparents. Here's a couple other videos that we think you might like, and don't forget to click subscribe. Thanks!